Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Yoruus speaking and welcome to the summary for multiplayer game number 64. So for you that didn't watch the first part, this was a 2 versus 2 teamer game played on plain skirmish map, classical era start, usual rules. Shift+Clicks allowed, Great Wall banned, Terracota Army banned, plus for Fate from Natural Wonders banned, and Gold from Religion banned as well. And I'm playing with Merle against Johan and Sugar and Q. I got Persia and I'm mirroring Johan, and Merle has Egypt mirroring Sugar and Q. So I spawned in the back pretty far away from Merle. Merle did spawn basically in the middle of the map, so pretty close to the front lines. Now the problem is with those teamers, you really need to get to the front lines as fast as possible to secure the land in there. So what I like about Merle's style, basically I like it as well. I don't like to rush wonders, especially that Sugar is known for rushing pyramids, which is of course a pretty strong wonder, but overall I do not like to rush wonders in teamers. The bigger the game, the more I dislike rushing wonders. There's only one wonder that I actually don't like losing, which is Great Life, but you can still compensate on that by having more cities or a good pantheon and stuff like that. So basically what we decided to actually skip wonders and just try to get as much good economy as fast as possible. So I'm gonna stop in here and talk a little bit more about this screenshot. Well, we basically managed. Maybe I did not manage that well, but there was 0 Potosi pretty close in the middle, but I was definitely not able to get there first before Sugar, though Sugar did decide to rush pyramids, and actually he rushed pyramids into Great Life, so pretty much set off into a wonder spam, and he got 0 Potosi with his second city. But at the same time, it turned out we have 2 natural fate wonders in our land, and I actually got my cities to the front as fast as possible. Merle set up his cities, and we're, as I said, just focus on growing. But happily we were able to block a settler from Johan for quite some times. We almost took it, but that sadly didn't happen. But still we managed to block him for quite a long time, and actually forced him, he decided to do it himself. I think that was a mistake, but that really didn't matter that much in the course of the whole game. But we forced him to plant the city in a spot that we actually didn't think that is good. Also, the situation kind of reached a stalemate, I would say. Well, not necessarily a stalemate. Sugar finally got his frontal city as well, but he was sitting on 3 cities and just spamming wonders. So he got pyramids, Great Life, and he was going into Oracle. In the meantime, Johan was the powerhouse in the production on the enemy team. Merle planted his last 6 city, and I think he didn't want to plant more right now, and he was actually pressurizing all the time on Sugar. I mean, like, with only 2 chariot archers and 1 immortal, I think he was just trying to, scout, pillage as much as possible, and just pressurize, and put the pressure on Sugar so they would be forced into making army, which not necessarily turned out that well, and let me show you why. Yeah, this is what happened, but this is actually a pretty cool screenshot overall. they got crossbows pretty fast. So they were definitely first at crossbows, but Merle with only this army you see in here, so like 3 chariots, 2 mortals, and a composite, where he was actually giving them trouble going up against crossbows. I think he made them pay for units, like at least trade units 1-1-1, right? So just amazing fighting skills on Merle. Definitely, this is I was trying to show as much as possible of the fighting and the moves of Merle, because this is really great to watch him. But of course I had to play as well, right? It was like extra cool if I could just be an observer for fighting with Merle around, but but overall our situation was not that good. Basically, they had a huge tech lead, though we were leading in production. We were focused on economy. I mean, like, you still need to get those coliseums, happiness buildings, markets, and stuff like that. So now it was the timing for the enemy team to actually benefit from Great Lab, Pyramids, Oracle, Machu Picchu, I believe, and actually try to deal damage to us, because they had the tech advantage, so they get crossbows much faster, and now they could pressurize us. So they attacked Merle. Basically, he was losing the city, and he is going to lose this city. But thanks to his amazing fighting skills, really amazing, with overwhelming forces against him, he managed to buy so much time that I actually managed to take one of Sugar Cities, and he couldn't take it back. I couldn't pressure more. For a second there, I really thought that I could, but we kind of had to switch armies in between north and south, and they were first to knights again. The tech advantage paid off, so I was forced to retreat from knights and try to defend. Now Merle lost this city, Pyramizes, but at least he was not overflowed with units. I mean, from the start we had that problem with the conversation with Merle that he could be flanked if he will not set up the front line, and yeah, he was flanked, kind of. And actually it was pretty cool on our side, and on their side we were basically switching fronts. So we were trying to, like, move units from north to south if there was a stalemate at north. The fighting took over at south, so those switches were for several times, but in the end I managed to take one of Sugar Cities, and they managed to break Pyramizesi, which was not an important city for Merle. Yes, it was a frontal city, but he managed to actually put a front line behind Pyramizesi, so he was not overflooded with units. And I actually took one of Sugar 4 cities, so basically he lost much more in this exchange, and he still didn't have more cities, so he was sitting in a very bad spot city-wise, and I was leading at production at this point of the game. Merle was third, I believe, and Johan was second, but still the difference between my production and Sugar, well, basically looked very bad for their team, so they were definitely counting on their superior technology to take us down. Okay, so let me show you the ending screenshot. So what happened? Basically, the situation reached a stalemate in the south. I was sitting on last army in here at this screenshot, but I still had just enough to defend against Sugar if he actually tried to attack. He tried to attack, I defended, we again switched troops from north to south, so I was supporting Merle because for a moment he seems like he would be overflooded with units, but then he managed to defend. Well, pretty intensive fighting, so I will not explain what exactly happened at the fighting. The fighting was just pretty intensive. A lot of attacks, counterattacks, reinforcing different sides of the map. Pretty cool. But to summarize what happened is basically we were starting to get advantage. Though they had a tech advantage, we finally caught up because they were losing too much gold and they just didn't have enough to compensate for the lost gold. And we were still leading. We were leading at food. We were leading at production. So finally, we managed to build the necessary buildings. So we were slowly turning all our hammers into units. And with Merle fighting, he really made distractions. He was baiting units. He basically was really good at fighting. So we were finally starting to kill more and more units, and that advantage would just grow into our favor. So though Sugar did drop from the game, but I think he knew, and Johan knew that definitely, and he conceded. Well, they conceded basically. So Sugar was just not going to reload one more time, so they GG'd. So pretty cool and intensive game. A lot of fighting. I tried to show as much fighting that Merle did because his tactics are just amazing. I mean, it's just great to watch what he can do with less units than the enemy and actually still manage to go victorious basically. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. So if you didn't watch the game, I definitely encourage you to watch the game because it was really great fighting game. And if you already did, then I hope this summary was actually a little bit helpful for you and you enjoyed watching this. So what can I say more? To summarize the overall game, I would say we were just trying to bite at start, to put some pressure, while we tried to focus on economy and not on wonders. Then we try to defend and hope to survive long enough that our economic advantage will kick in and we will start flooding them with units so you can kill more than they can produce, basically. And this is what happened. So one more time, thank you for the game, thank you for watching, and I invite you to watch the actual game that starts on the first position of the playlist. Best wishes, Yoruus out.